Meta sucks. It doesn't matter if you're a newcomer to VR, an outsider looking in, or a long-lasting member of the VR community. If there's one thing anybody in those categories can agree on, it's that Meta kinda sucks. From bad business choices to the forceful shutting down of beloved games, Meta has made it clear that the main thing on their agenda is themselves, and it's only fueled by selfishness. So, what's the deal? To see why Meta is so bad, we're gonna have to zoom out and look in different areas to see what makes them bad as a whole. First things first, we need to see why nobody likes Meta, and that reason is from the unwillingness to connect with their audience. And it's probably because they have no idea who their audience is. You see, what the VR community wants and what Meta wants are two completely different things. The VR community wants games, content, boundary-breaking AAA games that not only push what's possible in VR, but games as a whole. We don't want a big game release every 4 to 5 months, we want consistency. Consistency with game releases and the games themselves. But the thing is, there's a big problem here. The game quality isn't in control of Meta necessarily, but why is that? You see, let's take other game companies for example. Nintendo has the Nintendo Switch where developers big and small can publish games. That's great. However, Nintendo themselves make games, and that's what launched Nintendo into the mainstream in the first place. Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Kirby, Donkey Kong, fucking Pokemon for Christ's sake. Same with Sony and Microsoft. Sony has The Last of Us, Spider-Man, God of War. Microsoft has Halo. Bad example, but you get the point. Meta doesn't really have this. Meta does not make games. They only publish or fund. Think of the most popular VR games. Blade and Sorcery, made by Warp Frog. Boneworks, Stress Level 0. VR Chat, Rec Room, Half-Life Alyx, the list goes on and on and on. None of them are made by Meta. That's problem number one. VR is fully pushed by indie developers, most of which have next to no budget. But how does this relate back to Meta not knowing their audience? Because they aren't focused on games. The way Meta sees VR is the metaverse, AI, all of this bullshit bunch of buzzwords you see floating around on Twitter by NFT profile picture pedophiles. Meta is trying to make the Quest something it isn't. They want this huge work-based system that changes the way we live. But the thing is, we don't want that. Show us that you're competent at making games, show us you're connecting to the community, and then try to push into making games. Show us you're connecting to the community. They can't try to capture an entire population of people into doing what they want if the people don't want to do it in the first place. I imagine people would be a lot more willing to do work-based shit in VR if they only began pushing for it, like, now. And we're making games and cool experience to butter us up the past few years. Sketchy as it sounds, sure, but they're doing it anyways. Why not be smart about it? Because the audience they want to attract is completely different from what they actually have. The current audience just wants cool shit in games, but the audience they're attracting are just losers, to put it bluntly. AI is the future, or this will be revolutionary. AI can't even properly make a hand at the moment. Calm the fuck down. It sucks because the VR community are aware of these weirdos, and the people from the outside looking in think these are the vast majority of people inside the VR community, so they don't give VR a try. So if Meta wants to attract that audience, congrats, it's working, because nobody wants to give VR a try when all they see is these AI enthusiast losers who are calling the metaverse the future. And by the way, someone tell me what the fuck the metaverse is? There's like 15 definitions of what the metaverse is, and if Meta is pushing it so hard, why is it even harder to find out what the fuck it is? Is it VR as a whole? Is it that work-based VR headset and mindset? For Christ's sake, is it a game? Please, I'm grasping for fucking straws here. Just let me know what it is in the first place, so being interested in it's even a possibility at all. It's not even simple to find the answer either, with a Google search giving you several different answers, each of which relate to different things. The closest I could get to finding the answer in Meta's case was this definition. The metaverse is a virtual reality space that enables users to interact with each other inside a computer-generated environment. So that's just virtual reality. Well, that's what it would sound like to literally everybody, but I happen to know just a little bit of context. The metaverse, the biggest player-to-player interaction platform, the main focus of Meta is this: Horizon Worlds. Yep, take it in. This isn't VR Chat where you can escape reality by becoming whoever and whatever you want. It isn't Rec Room where you can play tons of user-created minigames. It's this: the most corporate, empty, soulless game you could possibly imagine. These avatars scream of those Mii redesigns for Nintendo Switch Sports. They don't look unique, they don't look charming, they're just bland. They're like the YouTube font. You know the one I'm talking about? Where everything just looks fucking corporate? Well, if it's the main focus for Meta, don't you think it would have an insane player count? I don't even need to answer that because you already know what the answer is. Mark Zuckerberg's vision was 500,000 monthly players by the end of 2022. Do you want to know what the reported player count is? Somewhere around 900. 900 players for a game that is the main focus of everything Meta stands for is absolutely laughable and disgusting. Why don't, instead of focusing our time into something bigger and better, let's just fucking kill Echo VR, one of the most popular standalone VR multiplayer games, so we can put more effort into something that people don't even know exists and don't have interest in. And why don't we talk about that actually? Echo VR. Early this year in February, we were struck with the news that Echo VR would be closing its doors on August 1st, 2023, with no reason why. It was abrupt and there was nothing anybody could do about it. And once the date came around, that was it. Echo VR disappeared with no trace of it ever existing. Not to mention, there were microtransactions in this game, meaning everybody who put their money into this game to support it, wasted. That money is gone, and the people who spent it cannot get it back. Meta says they needed to get rid of it to make way for better experiences, but what does that really mean? Because I haven't seen anything come of that yet. Are they actually going to make fun multiplayer games, or are they going to do what they've done with everything else and just drip feed the extra money they have from cutting Echo VR off into funding their shitty excuse for a metaverse? At the end of the day, Meta has no connection to their audience. They do what they only want from themselves, and by themselves, I mean almost exclusively Zuckerberg. Almost all of it is his idea, and a lot of people from Meta don't actually want this either. But guess what? They don't really have a choice, or guess what? Back to job searching. So it puts everyone in a weird situation. Employees have no say in anything or they get the boot. The hardcore VR community is left begging for some communication between audience and company, and people interested in VR are turned off due to the confusion of what the higher-ups actually want VR to be. Meta sucks. They always have, and it just so happens that they suck a little bit more now. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, like, and do all that. I have my Discord server and Patreon linked in the description, so if you want to talk with me in my community, join the Discord. And if you'd like to support me, go become a Patreon. And hell, if you love me that much, just do both. Thank you all, and I'll see you next time.